The entire world was stunned when Jackie sought a divorce. She was demanding $300 million from Doug, an amount so absurd that people could not believe it. How could a couple that seemed so happy and so dramatically like this? Initially, Jackie played the role of a downtrodden wife. She informed everyone that Doug had cheated on her, disordered their marriage, and forced her to have no option but to leave the media, lost their mind. They referred to Doug a cheat, a liar, and an awful husband who hadn't deserved all the success that he'd found. Public opinion turned against him overnight almost. But there was another side to the story, one that Doug was finally willing to share. He had an entirely different explanation of what had occurred, and he wasn't going to remain silent any longer, while Jackie gave tearful interviews and portrayed herself as the victim. Doug was toiling in secret. He wasn't only fighting for his money, he was fighting for his reputation. He had worked all his life to make his career, and he wasn't about to let Jackie ruin it with lies. But what was more shocking about this case was that Doug had proof that could turn everything around. At first, Jackie's lawyers were sure they had made Doug into the bad guy and thought they had all the proof they needed to win. Jackie asserts she had sacrificed everything for Doug's prosperity. She informed others that Doug would be nowhere without her. Fans defended her, labeling Doug a selfish guy who had left behind the lady who had stood by his side. But this was more than about money. This was about secrets, and Doug had a secret, big one, that Jackie never thought he would share. The tension continued to build. Doug kept his cool, allowing Jackie thought she was in charge. But behind the scenes, he was preparing for the largest battle of his life. He had enlisted the best attorneys and the best detectives. He had evidence that could ruin Jackie's case overnight. And then the time had finally come. Doug's team of lawyers emerged ready to expose something so scandalous that even Jackie's attorney began to panic. The courtroom was filled. Reporters, fans, and legal analysts were all waiting for Doug's next step. Jackie sat smugly, believing she had it all in hand for weeks. She had made Doug appear to be the villain and ensured everyone saw her as the victim, but she had no clue what was coming. Doug's lawyer stood up with a folder that would turn everything around. He approached the judge and handed over the papers. The judge's face changed as he read through them. Then he turned to Jackie's lawyers. "Would you like to elaborate this?" The entire room fell silent. Jackie twitched uncomfortably in her seat, whispering something to her lawyer. But it was too late. Everything had been turned upside down. Doug had just reversed the entire case on its head. Doug was not only defending himself, he was revealing Jackie's deceit. The documents uncovered that Jackie had been concealing money. She had lied about her finances and manipulated the facts to present herself, appear like the victim. The same lady who accused Doug of cheating on her was now trapped in her own web of deceit. This was no longer a divorce matter. Jackie was in deep legal trouble, and then things took an even bigger shock. Doug's lawyers produced evidence that Jackie had quietly transferred millions of dollars to secret accounts, all while pretending she was penniless and requesting $300 million from Doug. The courtroom gasped. Jackie's cocky expression disappeared in an instant. Most celebrity divorces are dramatic, but this was more than drama. This was becoming an enormous scandal. Jackie was not only in danger of losing the case, she would also risk facing criminal prosecution for financial fraud. Doug had known the truth all along. That is why he had kept silent, assuming Jackie thought she was winning. But now the truth was out, and the most unbelievable aspect, Jackie was not alone in the scheme. Doug had one final secret to disclose, a secret so damaging that it would ruin Jackie's well-rehearsed image for good. Jackie's hands shook as she gazed at the papers. Her face went pale. The entire courtroom remained in stunned silence. All eyes were on her. But Doug was not done yet. He leaned forward and spoke in a firm but soft voice. "You've been deceiving Jackie, not just about the money, but about all." The judge turned to Jackie's attorney and waiting for an answer, but they were just as surprised as everybody else. Jackie finally spoke, her voice trembling. "This is absurd. Doug is only trying to destroy me because he doesn't want to pay." But things were going to get a lot more volatile. Doug's attorney smiled coldly. He pulled out another batch of documents and handed them to the judge. The eyes of the judge widened as he read. Doug's attorney snickered. "When you treat people poorly, they don't remain loyal. Forever your aide, the people who assisted you in setting this up, they all turned against you. The judge gazed at Jackie. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Jackie was gasping now. She knew there was no way out. Then she did something no one was expecting. She laughed. A cold, bitter laugh filled the courtroom. Jackie shook her head and smirked. You think this means I've lost, she said. You don't know me, Doug. I always have a backup plan. Doug narrowed his eyes. What are you talking about? Jackie leaned forward, her voice low and threatening. Did you really think I did all of this without covering my tracks? If I go down, I'm not going alone. Doug's lawyer frowned. Is that a threat? Jackie's voice dropped even lower. I have information, Doug. Things you don't want people to know. If you push me, I will use it. Doug remained quiet for a second, observing her intently. Then he shook his head. I'm not scared of you, Jackie. The judge struck the gavel hard enough. We'll take a brief break before proceeding as people started to leave the courtroom. Jackie turned to Melissa. You will regret this. Melissa locked eyes with her fearlessly. No, Jackie. I regret keeping quiet for so long. Doug observed as Jackie was led away by her attorney. He knew this was far from over. Jackie had tricks up her sleeve. But this time he was prepared for her. This battle was no longer about money. This was about justice. And Doug was not going to lose when the trial picked up where it left off. Doug's attorney rose. The courtroom grew silent. Jackie's application for more alimony is rejected. Her wealth is frozen, pending further investigation into financial fraud. The court would sit again the following week to hear legal repercussions. Jackie finally lost her grip. You can't do this to me, she exclaimed, standing up. Doug, let's talk. We can resolve this. Doug glared at her talk, like how he left hanging, but the look on his face said it all. Jackie's mouth opened, but no words escaped. The truth had finally caught up with her, and this time there was no getaway. Speak to the press about me, such as the way you speak to the investigators behind my back. Doug's tone was icy and biting. I believe we're beyond talking, Jackie. The courtroom grew silent with tension. The BFF moved forward. Jackie slowly returned to her seat. The authority she once wielded was lost. The fabrications she had constructed with care and purpose had been unraveled before everyone. Melissa glanced away, guilt creeping over her. Perhaps she should have come clean earlier. Maybe she ought to have shut Jackie down, but it was too late. Now the harm was already done. Doug got up and moved towards the door. His attorney came close behind. The case was not completely closed, but Jackie's destiny was sealed. She had lost altogether as Doug entered the corridor. Cameras flushed. Journalists rushed towards him. No comment. His attorney said firmly, Doug did not have to speak a word. The truth was already talked for itself, and for the first time in a long while, he felt unrestricted. Jackie was caught. If she confessed to keeping money back, she could be in serious legal jeopardy, but if she lied, the proof was already on hand to confirm she was lying. And worst of all, the more Doug's attorney unfolded, the more it seemed bad for Jackie. This is deception. Doug's attorney stated unequivocally she manipulated the system to gain pity while clandestinely shielding her own fortune. Jackie's breathing was unstable. Reporters were scribbling frantically, cameras were snapping, and the world was observing as her meticulously constructed reputation crumbled. In real time for months, she had painted Doug as the villain, but fate had turned in a different direction. The actual villain was her. The judge let out a deep sigh and massaged his temples based on these new facts. I will require time to examine the evidence before issuing a verdict. But Doug was not finished yet. He leaned forward, his voice cutting through the noise in the courtroom. There is one last thing I need to say. And that was the moment everything changed. Doug's next words sent a chill through the room. The air was thick with tension. Jackie, who had once sat with confidence, was now shaking her fingers, gripped the edge of the table. Her breath was shallow, but what happened next was even more shocking. Doug drew a breath and gazed straight at Jackie. For years I remained silent, he asserted. I let you distort the truth. I let you turn me into the villain. I let everyone think I was the one who had done wrong. Then he turned to the judge, but now it's time to reveal the true story. Jackie's attorney attempted to interrupt, but Doug's attorney held up a hand. Your Honor, we have received leaked emails and voice recordings, which indicate that Jackie had planned this right from the start. The courtroom exploded. Jackie's whole scheme was to be brought out into the open. Doug's lawyer played the initial recording. Jackie's voice rang out. I will get him to pay for all he has done, thinking he's so clever but never knows this is coming. Then an email popped onto the screen. It was a message Jackie had written to her financial advisor some months earlier, before she even filed for divorce. We must move the money before I sue him. I wanted to appear as though I have nothing. The worse I appear, the stronger my case. The room fell silent. Jackie's own words had just destroyed her case. The judge's face hardened. Miss Christie, do you understand how serious this is? Jackie's lips parted, but no words emerged. This was the most surprising moment of all. Not only had she been lying, but she had set the whole divorce case out to get Doug to appear guilty and get as much money as possible. Her attorney leaned over and whispered something in her ear, but Jackie shook her head. She refused to back off, but it was plain that the truth her case had just derailed before all of these people. Doug rose to his feet. I wanted to handle this between us, he said. But after all, you subjected me to bringing my name through the mud, lying to the world, trying to destroy my life. I didn't have a choice. He turned to the judge. I am asking for an immediate dismissal of this case and full damages for the emotional and financial damage she has done to me. The judge nodded slowly. Due to the overwhelming evidence, I see no reason for this case to go on. Then he turned to Jackie. Miss Christie, I suggest you get ready for the repercussions of your actions. Jackie sat. Frozen, her whole plan had just fallen apart. What made this story unique, she had thought she could outsmart everyone, but ended up playing herself outside the courtroom. Reporters were already proclaiming the shocking downfall of Jackie Christie. Doug walked out, his name. Finally cleared, cameras flashed, reporters yelled questions, but Doug kept walking. He didn't have to say a word. Jackie, once powerful and untouchable, was now left with nothing but regret, and like that the $300 million divorce case had crashed in the most unbelievable way.